Good morning, welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View this Monday morning. There's a lot of Celtic news out there today, and we really need to just get into the big one, isn't it? This is massive. I did say that there was a potential that this would happen this transfer window. I've been saying it since last season, to be fair. Daizen Maeda is coming into the last 2 years of his contract. Well, he is. He's now currently in the last 2 years of his contract. And without Daizen being able to sign a new contract at Celtic, it looks like Celtic are now preparing for his departure, and Celtic may move to acquire a Kobe's player, Maya Shiaro. It is one that's coming out of Japan, this one. It is coming out of Japan. I think that this guy was spot on. Well, I've been told that this guy was spot on when it comes to Shin Yamada. He's the one that broke it first, that Celtic were in for Shin Yamada. He's also the one that is coming out to say that Celtic are preparing to sell on Daizen. Now, to me, it's not... Is it new news? Is it something that we didn't expect? Well, do you know, we should have expected it because he is coming into the last 2 years. Celtic will not allow Daizen to run down 2 years contract and reduce what they could potentially get for him. Now, can we get up to 25 million for Daizen? Well, when you look at what we got for Kyogo, was 10 million, even though the length of the contract he had. When you look at... Now, I know that Celtic fans will look at this morning and go, come on, he's worth 30 million all day long, 40 million. The green tinted spectacles need to come off, and the reality of the transfer market and what people will be prepared to pay Celtic for Daizen. Now, I for one will be completely pissed off if we do sell him, because selling all your best assets without bringing players in is absolutely... it's crazy. Now, Brendan Rodgers did have a dig at the media. We'll talk about that in a second or so. He had a very interesting press conference yesterday. First of all, we're going to listen to what Brendan Rodgers said, if I could find it. And I've lost it. Let me just get this back up on the screen. I mean, this is probably the worst news that we could ever expected at Celtic this morning. It's the way that Celtic work, and let's listen to Brendan Rodgers to what he said yesterday about the game, because...
I'm really pleased with the performance. I think the context of the game on the back end of last season and the final, we knew this was going to be a tough game, but I thought we controlled it really, really well in large parts of it. And in the moments we had to be strong and defend, we did do. Scored 2 outstanding goals. Could have had a few more. The keeper makes a good save. I think our back players were very, very good at enticing their press, and then we played through that well. So yeah, I thought it was very, very controlled, and really pleased for the players and obviously the supporters who make a long way up here.
Yeah, you used the word control. How pleasing is that to come here and have that comfort and control to be able to play the way you did?
Well, yeah, you see Aberdeen, the good players, they're very well organised with Jimmy and his staff, so you know you have to be patient in order to play through, but I thought we did that excellent at times, and we were unfortunate Daizen's through in goal, and unfortunately slips, and we had a couple other moments, some other moments in the box, but yeah, I think we're still finding connections with some of the players, like Kieran coming in and Benji, but the overall control of the game was excellent, and like I said, to keep a clean sheet, another one is really pleasing.
Yeah, Brendan Rodgers did give us an update yesterday on the reason that Kieran Tierney came off. He said that Kieran Tierney was actually sick at half time. Yep, he had the whitey. Kieran Tierney had the whitey at half time, and he wanted to keep on going. He said on Radio Scotland, to be fair, he was actually sick at half time. He wanted to go on. I think it drained him a little bit of cramp set in. But he's given a really good out of the game, and he created the first goal. We know that he's just in the building, and his fitness is up. You can see the qualities that Kieran Tierney does give the team. But there was nothing to do with any injury worries at all. It was just the fact that he had the big old whitey at half time. So he's fine. And I think it is all about managing players at this stage of the season. Now, Rio Hitati, before we go back to Brendan Rodgers and before we go even more in depth about selling Daizen Maeda, and the news is coming out of Japan as Celtic are preparing to do that. Rodgers made no secret of trying to keep a hold of as many players as possible. Rio Hitati scored a fantastic goal during the 2-0 win yesterday over Aberdeen, and let's face it, Celtic did not get out of second gear yesterday. There was a lot of good stuff about the game yesterday that we didn't really talk about at the time, and I think that Celtic, there was a lot of good stuff. We didn't get out of second gear, and Brendan Rodgers spoke about that. He spoke about the fact that, look, it's the beginning of the season, game fitness and everything is coming along nicely. He was more than ecstatic the way that we played against a dogged Aberdeen side who just wanted to kick lumps out of everyone. And if that's the way that they're going to go into the season, I think that Aberdeen, there's a lot of good footballing sides and footballing managers in the SPFL that will give Aberdeen a going over. And it's karma when teams trying to play football like that. It's a style of football that people will say, yeah, that's all that's good about Scottish football. But the way that I'm looking at, Aberdeen will get what they deserve this season, and they're ranked rotten and bottom of the SPFL. But when it comes to Celtic, it was a good day overall. The fact that we've got gears to go up, and this is what I'm looking at it, and this is what I'm taking from the game yesterday. You know, we brought other players on. We brought on Daizen Maeda, and we'll see how he fits into this Celtic team. There's one thing, Daizen Maeda or Daizen Maeda are not the number one striker that Celtic are used to. We'll talk about that in a minute, because let's face it, a lot of people are upset at this man, Almeida. And to be fair, Brendan Rodgers has spoke about the situation. Brendan Rodgers has spoke about the situation with the big man himself. And Rodgers said he needs someone up to he needs a Kiryu Furuhashi type player. I can't believe that we're going into the end of this transfer window with the possibility of selling, and it looks like we are going to sell Daizen. We've sold Kyogo, we've sold Kuhn, you know, we've brought Jota's out injured, and we don't seem to be. I mean, Benji's come in and he's a fantastic player, and he's got a bit of work to do. You're not going to see the best of Benji until the second half of the season, I reckon. We're going to be bringing players in, and it's going to be a complete change. You know, it's like a change of the guard, isn't it? It's like out with the old and in with the new. And will Brendan Rodgers be next to go over the next season or so? We'll find out later on. Losing Jota to a long-term injury, Kuhn being sold, Maeda shortly to be leaving the building. We need reinforcements. Brendan Rodgers says there's no doubt that I'm really pleased where we are structurally in defence. He says we've got numbers in defence. The squad from the back line to midfield can cope with the domestic demands and European football. So I'm pleased with that aspect. And you could say yes, as long as you don't sell Rio Hitati. Everything's looking fine and dandy when it comes to the defence. We've got a young boy that's just came in from Man City. Can he make a big impact? Can he knock Liam Scales out of the squad? Well, let's hope he does. But Liam Scales is playing there because we don't have a left back. And I still expect Celtic to go into the market for another left back. Because I can't see Inamura. I can't see Inamura being tough enough for the SPFL. And you know, it's when you see the way that Kieran Tierney was flying into tackles yesterday, Inamura's going to get slapped about left, right and centre. And I just don't think that he has that physicality for the way that the Scottish game in the first two games of the season, the way that the games have went, they've been really physical. You know, there are a lot of crunching tackles have went in, a lot of yellow cards that should have been given haven't been given over the last couple of games. It is only game day 2, but Brendan Rodgers went on to say, for Big Adam, honestly, he's a big boy. He was at his best when there was a challenge for the position, And I get that. And I do get that. And I understand what Brendan Rodgers is saying. You know, there is that need for some players to have that little bit of challenge. He's in the position now that Kyogo was in a few years ago, where Kyogo he went off the boil a little bit because he's looking over his shoulder and he's like, well, it's just Adam Maeda. It's nobody in particular that's going to, keep me out of the team. If I don't start the game, I'm going to, because Adam Maeda he's the number 2 striker. He's never going to finish the 90 minutes, so I'll get on in the second half. I think at best, Adam Maeda is a number 2 striker. And I've said that all over the summer. People saying that he's not even a number 2, and you can't have a 9 million number 2 striker. Well, you can. And if you're a good team, you're definitely going to have a £9 million number 2 striker. But asked if Adam Maeda needs a goal, Brendan Rodgers said, listen, you're a striker at Celtic. You have to be strong mentally. You've got to score goals, of course, but I have faith in him, says him. He really needs real competition beside him. And I think that's when you get the most out of him. He didn't score, but he worked very hard. He's given his all. It will get better as the season goes on, said Brendan Rodgers about Adam Maeda. Celtic's 3 goals this season have all come from midfielders. Game day 1 was Luke McCowan. Benji, yesterday, fantastic cross, absolutely wonderful cross by our very own Kieran Tierney. Brilliant cross from him, and Benji gets on the end of it in the box, and that's the role that I said that he'd be given. He's going to play that holding midfield role, and you've got to give your credit to Brendan Rodgers for this one. He's got him playing in a holding midfield role beside Callum McGregor, but he's also given him that free rein that when Celtic are in attack, to bomb up the pitch and make a nuisance of himself inside the box, where teams aren't waiting for him. They're not prepared for him. They're thinking he's playing the same role as Callum, so he's going to be further back the pitch. So for me, I think Brendan Rodgers is doing fine with what he's got. Let's face it. We're 2 games in. We've won 2 games. That's all you can ask for at this stage of the season. It is all about. So Benji scored after scoring 15 goals last season in the Danish top flight. He's got his first goal for Celtic. It was a good goal for him to have. And then there is the man that cannot be sold by Celtic this year, Rio Hatate. And even though Brendan Rodgers says that, look, there could still be bids come in for Rio Hatate, he says we've got to he's the one player that we cannot sell. I mean, everyone's talking about Daizen and saying, don't sell Daizen. He's a player that we really need. For me, Rio Hatate gives you more in that midfield. I mean, we all know what can... And Daizen, people were saying during the live yesterday, during the game, it's like Daizen looks off the boil. He wasn't chasing back. Do you know the way that Daizen runs at 100 mile an hour to chase back in defence? He wasn't doing that. And you didn't want to say it at the time. Is there a possibility that he's thinking about other things? And it looks like it, coming out of Japan this morning. Daizen Maeda, Celtic are preparing for Daizen Maeda departure. They may move to acquire Kobo's Miyashiro. So anyway, let's see what some of the Celtic fans are saying about it this morning. Before we listen to Brendan Rodgers, we'll listen to Brendan Rodgers. And let's listen to Brendan Rodgers just now, because he wasn't in a very good talking. There's a few people having a little bit of a dig, it seems.
Listen, there'll always be a narrative around it. I tell you something the other day about 2 years ago, don't play good football and don't play that. We've never played that in the last 2 years, so I think there's a number of people that really don't like me here at Celtic. But with me and looking at the team, I'm really happy to see how the players are, the current players that we have. 2 clean sheets, control a difficult game, showed a resilience last week to break through, and we're ticking along nicely. And as we know, what will make the football always smile that wee bit more and a bit more creative is level of player. So, but we hope we can do that, and then we'll be hopefully by the end of the month in a really good place.
So Brendan says, let's get to the end of the month and we'll be in a really good place. I think there has to be something in this story with Daizen. I just seen one of the comments. Do you think it's Kieran Tierney? Let me jump into it. was it? Benji's going to come good. Les says, I was wondering if KT at left back affects Daizen game. Nah, not at all. I think that Daizen would, if Daizen stays this season, which he's not going to. I mean, I did say last season, Daizen's only got 2 years left on his contract. Celtic will not allow him to go this full season and let his valuation dive at Celtic. His valuation is only going to go one way the longer that we keep him and he doesn't sign a new contract. Daizen said this summer that he doesn't want to speak about a new contract. He wants to see what's happening. And if a bid comes in, the power brokers at B at Celtic will sell him. Now, who was Brendan Rodgers having a dig at? People don't like me at Celtic, said Brendan Rodgers as he fired a little warning shot across the bow. Now, for me, Chris Boyd is one of the first ones. And there's a lot of Scottish media people. There's a lot of media people that would love to see Brendan Rodgers leave Celtic again. And see for the zombies that go into social media, oh, he's walking away, he's running away again, man. How many Rangers managers has he seen off in his tenure? And let's face it, you're booing your manager already. And I've got to say, never mind about climate change, because -4 in August in Glasgow, it's chilly, isn't it? But anyway, Brendan Rodgers claimed that whatever he does at Celtic won't be enough for some people. Winning the double, he's won 11 trophies at 2 spells. He's maintained a 100% start to the season, but he always gets criticism. And his team continue to silence the cynics that are out there. He said, listen, there's always a narrative around. I heard something the other day about that we don't play good football. Well, you can only play good football if the other team... I mean, there's not many leagues in the world, is there, where every other team there sit back and defend. I expected more from Aberdeen yesterday. Aberdeen, in an attacking sense, it was like sit back and just soak up the pressure and we'll try and hit on the break. Could you imagine an Aberdeen team for the 1980s playing that style of football? Not a chance. Not a chance. Yeah, there's Hugh Spukins who said, yes, and even he said something about the fact that Rangers would beat Celtic this weekend if they played this weekend. Oh, jeez. But anyway, the fact that Brendan Rodgers has given a little warning to those people and said, look, when it comes to it, we're going to get better. We will get better. Do you know what? We're 2 games into the season and people are having a dig at us already. He says, but with me, I look at the team, I'm really happy to see how the players and the current players we have are playing. It's 2 clean sheets. Control of a difficult game. Showed resilience. Last week, we got the breakthrough. Do you know... Well, we're unlucky last week with such a fantastic keeper at Celtic Park, first game day 1. He says, we'll get more creative as the level of player comes in. So hopefully we can do that, and hopefully by the end of the month we'll be in a really good place. Celtic are going to spend out money, that's for sure. We're already sitting with 20 odd million in the bank from this transfer window. If the unbelievable does happen, which it looks like it is, and that post for the guy for Japan's had over 500,000 views already this morning. And he did post it. And listen, he's the same guy that told us Daizen Maeda were coming. I'll be gutted, personally, if Daizen Maeda does go. But it's the way that Celtic are. And if you can't tie him down to a longer contract, there is only one thing that will happen. And Daizen will be sold this transfer window, which is absolutely devastating. Seen in Europe, his value goes up in January. No, it doesn't go up in January. It goes down. His value cannot go up any when he's got a less of a contract. That's crazy talk. He would only have 1.5 years left on his contract, so his valuation then goes down. Valuations are all about length of contract. You know, the reason that we got so much for Jota was the length of contract we had him on. I mean, if that was the case, Kyogo Furiashi had 3 goals chopped offside in a Champions League game, and we sold him for 10 million. His valuation went down in the winter window. Last season, Matt went, Celtic spent, Daizen goes, will Celtic spend? Nah. Buying players isn't everything. The Buns have signed 8 players and they're worse than last season. Yeah, and Brendan Rodgers is right. I mean, Brendan Rodgers said last summer, remember, he had a dig when they were in America about the lack of transfer activity last year also. So that's nothing new. I mean, I think that it's just emphasised this year because we have sold a lot of our better players. But Brendan Rodgers said last summer when we were in America, just before the start of the season, he said, look, we could have went out and bought 8 players this year. Having a reference to the summer before when we went out and spent a lot of money early on in the transfer window. So let's just hope that Brendan does get his way with players that can come in and make a big difference. Can only hope, Baz, that he signs a new contract after this window shuts. James, are you talking about Daizen or are you talking about the manager? Because if Daizen doesn't sign a contract before the end of the window, Celtic will sell him. If they get an offer, they will. They can't. Because he was offside, those goals stand and it goes up surely. Nope, David. That transfer was. Listen to what Brendan Rodgers said at the time. We knew that Kyogo wanted to go for months. They'd been in talk with Rennes for months. So those goals the night before that he was sold had no bearing on the transfer value at all, because that was done weeks and weeks before. You know, Celtic didn't just sell Kyogo on a spur of the moment the next day. This was something that had been going on for weeks and months before. So that was already, maybe just rumours back in Japan. Last few weeks put the Maeda price up. Nope, this guy was the one who was the person who broke the news about Daizen Maeda coming to Celtic. He is the same Japanese reporter. I don't know if he's a reporter or what, but he's got. He is the one who broke the news about Daizen Maeda. I'm reliably told coming to Celtic. What has Kyogo done since he left Celtic? Nothing. Exactly. Grabboy says, we could sell the whole team for 500 million. The board would still only spend 15 million to replace them. Yeah, you're pretty much right there. It's not the best news to start a Monday morning. We should have been looking about everything that's good about Celtic from yesterday. There was a lot of good from Celtic yesterday. The fact that, Kieran Tierney was absolutely phenomenal. I thought that what he brings to the team, we could not buy a ready-made player the standard of Kieran Tierney if we had the money right now. Because Kieran Tierney is still a £25 million player. Down in the English Premiership, I mean, Kieran's still going for 25-30 million if he's sold to a Premiership club. You know, he could still be on 120 grand a week easily down south, but he decided to come back home to Celtic. And we've got to love that. And do not ever underestimate what Kieran and the level and performance, what he brings to the team. Because that's 2 weeks in a row, he's been putting in fantastic crosses. Celtic need to go out and spend in the transfer market to bring in wingers that is better than James Forrest. You know, if Daizen does go, which is looking like he will now, we need to bring in is of better quality or similar quality. Will Celtic do it? Will Celtic finally get Balwisha in the door? Who knows? It's a very, very fluid transfer window with a lot still to go on. Daizen doesn't look interested, hasn't done anything since the start of the season. And it could be because of the transfer speculation that is now around Daizen. Standing with the ball, points yesterday, just pass it backwards. You can always tell when a player has one eye on a move, because he's not wanting to get injured. He's not wanting to do anything that's going to put that at risk. It's probably Celtic's plan to sell Tierney again. Oh, Jesus. Dad. Get Chris Boyle on Baz. Get the laughter to cheer us up. I'd rip up my death. Les Watts says we should be laughing at the Rangers instead of our board kicking us in the tender bits. Sell but fine, but buy in ready replacements. Yeah. Huge worry, and Square Sausage Mix says, huge worry in my eyes. It was Hoopy, the Huddle Hound, looked off the pace last week. The body language, he only wagged his tail once. Try to bring some hilarity to this morning. It's Peter Lawwell that doesn't like Brendan. Well, we all know that. That's not a hard one. Kyogo wanted away in the summer before. Same as Kuhn. We have no plan. There's no trust or loyalty in players now. Yeah. There isn't, is there? There's no loyalty when it comes to the foreign players, because they're all brought in on the basis that they will be sold. They're only here to pass time, really. Make themselves a better player, get noticed in a European context, and then be sold. That's the reality of Celtic and Celtic Football Club, which is an unfortunate reality for us. And why did I just start that up? I just need to close that back down. That is an unbelievable reality that Celtic players are just here to make up pretty much the numbers in their career. It is all about them coming in, getting that experience and being sold on. So if this is the last couple of games, I don't think that Daizen will play in the game next weekend, the cup game. There's a cracking comment coming in. Daizen's not that great, let's be honest. Great work rate, but technically poor. He did score 33 goals last season. He's a fantastic player. He needs that level of quality around him. And when players, and this is, people think that this doesn't happen, but it does. When players like Daizen Maeda starts seeing a club selling its prize assets and selling a level of player that excites you as a player and that motivates you as a player and that, you know, that is as good as you as a player. When you've got a team of players that are all of a similar quality and all putting in 110%, and you start selling them off, and the players that come in are maybe around about 70% of the quality of the players, and they're not up to pace yet, and they don't know about this winning mentality that's at Celtic, it's no wonder that Daizen's maybe going, do you know what? Things are on the turn here at Celtic. Things are definitely on the turn. And there does come a time where every player has a valuation. And right now, Daizen is at the top of his valuation. He's not going to get any more expensive as a Celtic asset. The price is only going to go one day, and it's going to be down. Unfortunately, it's about you and the Magic. Maeda's our best player by a million years. Yeah, you could say that. But he's not irreplaceable, is he? He's not irreplaceable. He don't want to be on the wing after performing up top and banging in goals. He's the answer, not Adam Maeda. He proved that. Maybe that's why Brendan Rodgers is sticking. Maybe this is why Brendan Rodgers is sticking with Adam Maeda, because he knows that Adam Maeda is going to be the last man standing when it comes to strikers. You can't play the system. You've got us really thinking now. You can't play a system with a player in the number one striking position when he's not going to be here. You know, if he's not going to be here, then all the preparation that you've done during the summer, everything that you've played for, everything that you've trained for with Adam Maeda as the number one striker, if you've got to change that 2 games into the season because we've went all summer with Daizen as that person playing through the middle. I'll tell you one thing, I'd rather not be Brendan Rodgers this morning, because he's going to wake up, and he probably already knows the news, that Daizen is on his way out the doors. Fans not falling in love with the player when the board have sold all their best players off last few seasons. We just need to hope that if they sell him, it has to be 30 million, says James. I don't think you'll get 30 million for Daizen. I'm just being honest. As much as what we see is him week in, week out, other teams will look at him and just go, it's the SPFL. It's the SPFL. It's not a great league. And you could say what you want about the league, and you could say what you want about, that game yesterday had tackles and Scott, everything. Other clubs and other scouts from other countries look at the league and go, it's a fucking shit league. He's not worth 30 million. It's a pish league. And that's the reality of the situation that Celtic are in. Daizen's irreplaceable. He's unique. Listen, when Jota comes back to full fitness, Square Sausage Mix says, calm down, Daizen's not gone yet. Well, I did say that it would happen, and it looks like it's going to happen. On that note, have an absolutely fantastic... How can you have a good morning when this has dropped, this bombshell has dropped from Japan during the night? And listen, whatever happens will happen, because we are Celtic, and we will be here come the end of the window, no matter what happens. Have a fantastic day, Celtic fans, wherever you are, all around the world.